Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. We are happy to host today's event.
And welcome. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. I'm Pam Bowles, the President and CEO of the North Mason Chamber. We are pleased to be working with the Shelton-Mason County Chamber and the EDC to bring you this program, the third in the series. I'd also like to thank our Chamber and EDC board members and you, our members at large.
My name is Heidi McCutcheon. I am with the Shelton-Mason County Chamber of Commerce. We welcome all of you. We are recording today's presentation. The video recording will be available at masonchamber.com later this afternoon. We will also provide today's slides as a handout for the convenience. You will have the opportunity to submit questions via text. You should have a panel over on the side of your screen. So as you go through today's presentations, just let us know what your questions are, and at the end of each, we'll have time for question and answer. Yeah, and that's that. As we get things going, we do have a quick poll for you guys, just to see where you're at and where your businesses are located at. And so if you'll click on whichever answer that is, if you are, and you can click as many as you'd like. So if you're in PUD as well as Port of Shelton, then you can go ahead and do that. I see that several of you have answered. A couple of you that are in none of these districts, about 80% that is Mason PUD. And I'm going to go ahead and close this now. And then I can share it with you guys so you can see where you guys are kind of at. So very good. Thanks for participating in that. Here we go. I will get this back going again. And we will go ahead and begin. So Pam, it is all you.
Okay. So again, this week, we are pleased to convene our local leaders to discuss the state of the community of Mason County. We've already heard from the county, the city of Shelton, as well as the North Mason and Shelton school districts and Olympic College. Next Thursday, we will conclude our four-part series with local tribes. Today is our pleasure to be joined by the Port of Shelton's Commission Chair, Dick Taylor, Port of Allen Executive Director, Larry Capola, and Communications and Government Relations Manager of Mason PUD 3, Lynn Eaton, which we welcome her on PUD, and it's a pleasure having her filling Joel's shoes, which she's done a wonderful job, and thank you, Lynn.
Our first presentation today will be from Port of Shelton Commission Chair Dick Taylor. Dick spent 34 years in the U.S. Navy, advancing from seaman recruiter to commander. And Commissioner Taylor is a UW graduate, go Dogs, and received his master in business administration. He's worked as a real estate sales agent, served as executive director of the Chamber of Commerce, an executive director for a not-for-profit firm providing services to developmentally disabled adults, and was the project manager for a civilian submarine construction program. He also served 6 years of City of Shelton's Commissioner of Finance. Commissioner Taylor is currently the chairman of the Port Commission and is serving his second, I'm sorry, Dick, I think you're in your third four-year term.
That's right.
He serves on the PRTPO Executive Committee and is a member of the board of Crossroads Housing. So, with no further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Dick, and it's all you.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Our presentation starts off with this morning we welcome you to the Port of Shelton, and we're happy to present to the community where we are and what we're doing in the community. Next slide, please. Our Shelton Commission consists of Commissioner Sue Patterson, Commissioner Christy Buck, and myself. The three of us are the board that governs the Port of Shelton. Next slide, please. Our mission statement is to provide economic benefit to our community. That is our bottom line. That's why we're here. Next slide, please. Our vision is to promote possibilities by efficiently utilizing all available resources to enhance commerce and create jobs in our community. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There we go. The Port of Shelton owns and manages about 1,400 acres of property at Sanderson Field and Johns Prairie. Sanderson Field Airport consists of a 5,000 foot, a little over 5,000 foot runway and a crosswind runway donated from the Navy after World War II. There are over 1,000 acres of land on Sanderson Field, and most of which are underdeveloped. Johns Prairie consists of about 400, or it's over 400 acres of land. Overall, the port has 35 companies and nearly 1,000 jobs on port properties. And here we see a slide of some of the companies that are tenants that we have, ranging from forest products to high-tech, limb saver, high-tech sports equipment, and Belco, Fungi Perfecti, which is grows mushroom products, and Lynch Creek Farms and other local industry. Olympic Air, which of course has helicopters and various aviation associated businesses there. The Sanderson Field Flyers, one of our long-term tenants. These are radio-controlled airplane flyers that fly off the abandoned runway. We have High-Tech Industries, which are Alpha Test, Thermedia, and B Plus Incorporated. Just some of the various companies that we have on property as we speak. Next slide, please. We just finished a runway overlay project. It was a $3.8 million project. We started last year, and it got delayed for a couple of reasons. One was weather, and it caused the project to be delayed and finished in 2020. We just finished it the first of this month. We did the electrical trenching and upgrades to the runway last fall and winter. And the project's funded by 90% by the FAA and $150,000 by Washington State Department of Aviation, and then port funds are minimal for such a large project. We pay about 5% in contributing to the cost of this project. Next slide, please. Recently, the Commercial Aviation Coordination Certification, the CAC, was created by the Washington State Legislature because of concerns that SeaTac Airport is reaching its capacity. Phase 1 of this program, develop a short list of 6 airports by January 3rd, 2021 that can be considered to be in the mix for quote, quote, a new SeaTac. Phase 2 is to identify the top 2 airports by September of next year, 2021. Phase 3 is to choose by 6% majority vote of the commission, of the coordinating commission, a single preferred location by January 1st, 2022. Six preferred locations. I don't know where that's coming from. 6 preferred locations were to be completed, and single preferred location will be completed and functional by 2040. Right now, Sanderson Field has been listed in the top 6 fields for consideration for this project. And what we would be considered for is not a commercial SeaTac style airport. What we would do is if an existing airfield that has commercial assets would be expanded to take over the SeaTac load. Commercial aviation, general aviation assets would have to be moved aside. So we would probably be one of the airports that would take these general aviation assets and they would come to Sanderson Field. All of this, we would not be another SeaTac here, but it would help us in expanding our airport operations and possibly even expand some of our private aviation and private aircraft for commercial, corporate aircraft would come here, and we could base them out of Shelton. But the whole project is still in progress. But we at Sanderson Field are one of the top 6 at this point. Next slide, please. Partnerships. We're happy to have partnerships throughout the community to operate with at the Port of Shelton. Of course, Oyster Fest over the years has been one of our big ones. This is a shot of Oyster Fest on the decommissioned runway. We have also there, we have car clubs that come in and do, there's a high-end sports cars that come in and drive on that runway. We partner with Puget Sound Enduro Riders, a motorcycle group. And over the years, we've operated with and worked with Ed Shadle and Jesse Combs from American Eagle. Unfortunately, both have passed on now, but American Eagle was a converted fighter jet into a land speed vehicle. And Jesse is a well-known TV personality, and they tested that car at the car's engines at Sanderson Field for a number of years. And unfortunately, this just last summer, she was setting the woman's world land speed record when the vehicle hit a rock or some debris on the raceway that they were running on down in Dry Lake Bed in Oregon, and she was unfortunately killed in the progress. But it's been our pleasure to support them over the years. Next slide, please. Next slide, there we go. Well, thank you very much for allowing us to talk to you this morning. We look forward to moving forward with the community in developing and providing opportunities for possibilities of commercial expansion and commercial growth here in the Mason County community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Taylor. We did have a couple of questions come through from our participants today, so I'll go ahead and ask you those. Okay. The first is there a change in plans for airport construction due to less air travel because of environmental concerns?
No, not at this point.
Okay. And the other question we have is also about the airport, asking what are some of the advantages that Port of Shelton has that might move them into the top 2 airports?
Well, first of all, we are already designated as the go-to field for Western Washington in the case of a catastrophic event where tsunamis would occur or earthquakes or what have you, and where the coastal areas could be inundated, and we would be the center base for that because our airport is based on, it's not a landfill airport, it's on bedrock, and it is a solid base for that. So we look for that. We have that already. We also have some space. We can extend our runway out probably another 1,000, over 6,000, to be over 6,000 feet. Relatively easily. We have some land that we can use, and we'd have to purchase a little bit more, but that's in our pocket. We can do that, and that's in our plan to do that eventually anyway.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Taylor. At this point, we don't have any other questions. However, if folks do send something through during the remainder of the webinar, we'll bring those up and make sure those get to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This time I will turn it over to Pam Voles to introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Deidre. So our next speaker is our Port of Allen Executive Director, Larry Coppola. Larry joining us today, a little bit about him is he is previous to joining the port in 2015, Larry founded a successful local media firm in 1988 and served as its president and CEO until being elected as mayor and chief administrative officer of the city of Port Orchard in 2007. As a strong mayor, he was responsible for overseeing the city's day-to-day business, its operations, essentially serving as the city manager, including all financial, budgetary, and personnel decisions. In that capacity, he was responsible for writing and administrating the city's 30 million plus annual budget and was directly accountable for implementing the decisions and policies set by the city council. Larry was recruited by the Gerson Lehrman Group, a worldwide business management, public policy, economic development, communications, and government affairs. His community activities include serving as the past president of the Port Orchard Rotary, the Government Affairs Committee of the North Mason Chamber, as a state director for the Building Industry Association of Washington, and serving on numerous community boards and umpiring Little League, high school, and tournament baseball. Welcome, Larry.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. The Port of Allen. A lot of people seem to think, could we have the first slide, please? A lot of people seem to think that the Port of Allen district goes from the Y and Highway 3 and 302 down to Short Creek. Nothing could be further from the truth. Port district boundaries run north from the Kitsap County, Mason County line, where we also have a joint boundary with Port of Bremerton, south to about a mile north of Grapeview, east to the Pierce County line, and west about 8 miles down both sides of Hood Canal, where it meets boundaries of the Port of Shelton on the south and the Port of Duwato on the north. The port is managed by 3 commissioners: Judy Scott, who is the commissioner for District 1. Judy's been a commissioner since 2000. She is a commercial real estate broker and property manager. Ted Jackson, Commissioner 2, is our current chair for District 2. He's also the current director of the Mason County United Way. He served as a fish and wildlife person here, retired from there, and was later the police chief in the city of DuPont. And Scott Cooper is the second in command at the North Mason Fire District and has been a commissioner since 2016. Next slide, please. Here we go. This is just a little run through about the Port of Allen facilities. Next slide, please. We have our main office and at the Allen Waterfront Park. You can see the view from the park here, as well as our building. Next slide, please. The iconic Allen Dock, 200 feet out into the waterfront, has been here since 1923. The first slide here is a shot from 1949, and the next 2 are very recent ones. Next slide, please. The Allen Waterfront Park and Gazebo. The Waterfront Park is Mason County's most widely used community facility. It is the host to all kinds of things. Next slide, please. Gazebo and park are real popular wedding venues. It's booked most weekends from about mid-May through Labor Day, a lot of times both weekend days. There's a meeting room where the commissioners meet, but it can also accommodate large gatherings and events. A lot of times it's used as receptions for the wedding. Has a buffet counter, sink, microwave, refrigerator, and restrooms that are often used for bridal dressing rooms. And it's used for a wide variety of community groups as well. Next slide. The gazebo is home to a lot of community events, excuse me, such as the annual Memorial Day celebration where we honor veterans from all across the country and all kinds of places. It has a wide variety of other uses, including we host the Allen Days Festival. There's car shows, reunions, family outings, plus we have our resident tightrope walker, as you can see, who practices here during the summer. Next slide. The dock at Allen, this is our newest facility, called officially the Allen Transient Moorage Facility. It was a dock, it was a wooden dock that blew down in 2019, and we rebuilt it and converted it into a full service marina with 30 amp and 50 amp connections for electricity, water, full pump out facilities, and we can accommodate vessels up to 50 feet in length. Next slide. As you can see, it was completed in late 2019. It was a $376,000 upgrade. And Dan Griffey was very, very active in helping us get the money to fund this project. And you can see the ribbon cutting here. Next slide, please. The Allen Kayak Park debuts or doubles as a second wedding venue, much lower cost wedding venue, as well as launching kayaks. Next slide, please. Port of Allen Water, or North Shore Hood Canal Marina and Boat Launch. We can accommodate 12 vessels up there, up to about 45 feet. It was a location of a lot of parties this summer, as you can see, or you might have went to. And we have the boat launch. The Port of Allen Water Company, it's a community water system, and it is the designated provider for the Allen UGA. Currently licensed for 132 connections. We've got a 245-foot well, a 144,000-gallon storage tank, and a new well coming online by March of 2023. The port's water system is designated to serve 1,000 connections at full UGA build-out. Next slide. Current projects. We have a few things going on. So, the Sargent Oyster House Restoration Project. If you've driven by the port, you've seen the Oyster House building sitting out there for years. It actually predates me, and I've been here going on 6 years. It was originally moved to location at the head of Case Inlet. It's the last standing oyster processing facility building. So we're working on that. We have a $160,000 historic grant to do the stabilization of the building itself, and we got a $218,000 grant from the capital budget to build a new waterfront platform, and it'll sit out on the water in the Allen Waterfront Park when it's ready. Next slide. We're just built, or in the process of just finishing, a 2-lane staging area for the boat ramp in Allen. As you can see by the one slide where it says subject property, in December we acquired the last parcel in this whole block here that the port didn't own. It was torn down last week, and we've re-rocked everything, and we're gonna have the staging area complete probably in the next 3 weeks. Put a median in there with lighting. PUD is supposed to be putting the lighting in today. And we've just got to get some signage and bring some more rock in, and it'll be good to go. Next slide. Sweetwater Park. This is a project we're working on with the Salmon Center. It'd be a completely ADA accessible environmental showcase. Port's developing this on Highway 3 in Belfair, right across from the Feller Trail. Next slide. Future projects. Where are we going from here? Next slide. We're going to do an indoor shooting range in a county with a little over 60,000 residents. Almost 20% of them have concealed carry permits, and doesn't count the ones that don't and own guns anyway. This will be a state-of-the-art facility. It's supported by local law enforcement who will use it for training and qualification purposes. It'll also keep local gun owners out of the forest and other outdoor locations, because currently there is no place to shoot in Mason County. We'll also offer firearm safety to the community. Next slide. High-tech business park. We will offer local firms a high-tech state-of-the-art venue, which doesn't currently exist in the north end of Mason County. The anti-business climate and high taxes in King County are driving local businesses and local tech companies out. The EDC in Kitsap County has a ongoing and active recruitment program to bring those companies to Kitsap. What that's done is it's driving the rents up and driving companies out of Kitsap. So a lot of them are looking towards North Mason County as a place to relocate, and Mason County is a lot more business friendly than Kitsap County is. So we have high hopes for this. Next slide. Regional Destination Multi-Sports Complex. This is, we think, will be the crown jewel of North Mason County when it's done. It's based on the successful Luke Jensen Sports Complex in Vancouver. And we've done quite a bit of research on this, and every tournament day brings in about $75,000 to your community. Now, we are basically a recreational port. We're not an industrial port like the Port of Shelton. And, you know, you can see that from our facilities. We think this will be our form of economic development, which is every port's mission. Next slide. Got a couple additional potential projects. One would be a co-working facility. This is where solopreneurs will come in, they will share conference room, computer, it'll have high-speed broadband, they'll have locations for computers and everything, shared conference room, copier, kitchen, that sort of thing, meeting rooms. This is one of the fastest growing business opportunities in this era, and there's nothing like it in North Mason County. We were originally trying to acquire the Department of Transportation building on Highway 3 that was used as the headquarters for the widening, but we couldn't come to an agreement with the Department of Transportation to acquire that, but we had originally wanted to do that with that building. We may include it in the industrial park when it's built, though. And upgrade to the Lynch Cove swimming pool. When we did our comprehensive plan last year and the year before last, there was a lot of public input about we'd like to have a swimming pool in North Mason. For us to build one really doesn't work, it just doesn't pencil. But there is one at Lynch Cove, and it needs some work. We're looking at doing some RCO grants to be able to do that, and part of the RCO grant process is that we'll have to be open to the public. So we're still looking into that. But as you can see, there's a lot more going on at the Port of Allen than most people think, and the port's a lot bigger than most people think. So next slide. There you go. Questions?
We do have several questions that came in during the presentation, Larry, so I'll go ahead and begin through those. The first is asking if sea level rise is affecting any of your operations or projects.
You broke up there. I didn't understand you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Is sea level rise affecting any of your operations or projects?
Yeah, we're not doing a lot of business at the gazebo, a lot of wedding business right now because people can't meet. But so the answer to that is yes. We've done quite a bit of belt tightening here to overcome the loss of revenue for that, but we're holding our own.
Okay. The next question we have is, where are you looking to set up the business park?
We're still at a location, but somewhere on Highway 3 between Belfair and the Kitsap County line, we think would be ideal.
Okay. And how does a co-working facility differ from a business incubator?
Business incubator, eventually you move out of, and a business incubator is meant to where you can grow your company. A co-working facility is just for individuals that need a place to work. They don't have an office at home, or they can't get to their office at home, or whatever. It's a membership kind of thing. You pay a monthly fee and you come and use all the facilities. It's much cheaper than renting an office, and if you're just a one-person business, it's ideal.
Great.
Especially if you don't have a business where people have to come to you. But if they do, you can still meet with them there.
And how will the sports complex connect or partner with upgraded facilities at North Mason High School?
We have had some discussions with North Mason High School. Right now, they don't know for sure what's going to happen with their facilities with the freight mobility corridor. So some of that's kind of up in the air. We are talking potentially with someone to donate some land right now for the facility, and it would be in a different location.
Okay. And the last question that we have is, are you waiting for businesses to sign up for Biz Park, or will you begin construction without tenants identified?
Once we identify a site and acquire it, we want to get going as quick as we can.
Great. Thank you so much, Larry, for your time today. And again, if we have any further questions that come through, we'll be sure to share those with you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to be here.
So we will conclude today's program with Mason PUD 3. Communications and Government Relations Manager Lynn Eaton has been with the utility since 2008 and recently took on new responsibilities following the retirement of Joel Meyer. She holds a bachelor's degree in organizational leadership, and prior to working for the PUD, Lynn owned a small retail gift shop in downtown Shelton. Lynn is a lifetime resident of Mason County and an alumna of Shelton High School. She has 3 children who have all gone through the Shelton School District, and she was recently appointed as a school board member. Lynn is an artist, a wannabe gardener, and enjoys spending time camping with her husband, Mike, family, and friends. Thanks, and welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Heidi, and thank you to our hosts. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to talk to you all today about the state of PUD 3. Let's see if I can advance the slides. Okay, so what does it mean to be community powered? I didn't realize until I started working for Mason PUD 3 in 2008 just how lucky we are to live in a public power community. We happen to be the only county in Washington state with 2 operating PUDs. Because of the names, sometimes people will confuse thinking that our organizations are connected, but we are 2 completely separate organizations. You can see PUD 1's territory in purple here, and then PUD that resides inside PUD 3's territory, which is outlined with the orange dash. Some of our service territory goes into Kitsap, Thurston, and Grays Harbor counties. Now, I said we're lucky because PUDs are owned by the communities that they serve, and that has a lot of benefits, like local control. PUDs are considered municipal corporations in local government, like the libraries or ports, and they're governed by an elected board of commissioners who live here and care about our community. At Mason PUD 3, we have a 3-person board, and each member serves a 6-year term. So we have our board president, Tom Farmer, our vice president, Linda Gott, and secretary, Bruce Jorgensen. The commissioners are responsible for making the policy decisions for the utility and appointing the manager. Annette Creekpalm has worked for PUD3 since 1998. She was formerly our CFO, and she's been our general manager since 2013. Annette's responsible for the day-to-day operations of the PUD. Another reason that we're lucky is because unlike investor-owned utilities such as Puget Sound Energy or Avista, PUDs are not for profit and they're cost-based, which means that we have some of the cheapest rates in the US and the cleanest energy. At PUD3, we're 98% carbon-free, thank you hydropower. And since we're a PUD instead of an investor-owned utility, about $4.8 million per year, I'll say that again, $4.8 million per year stays right here in Mason County rather than gets shipped out to investors outside of our state. Another reason that we're lucky is because PUDs are a tight-knit community, and we have mutual aid agreements that help each other out when needed. Just last weekend, PUD3 sent a crew to Douglas County to help repair the damage caused by the Pearl Hill fire. And we've been on the receiving end of that mutual aid, and it sure helps get our customers back in service quickly when we can lean on our partners like this. And we're definitely lucky because of our reliability. A lot of that has to do with the numbers on this page here. So Mason PUD3 is a diamond level reliable public power provider, or RP3 for short. And that's a designation given out by the American Public Power Association. And the diamond level is the highest recognition available in the US. Mason PUD3 is one of 5 utilities in Washington state that have that designation. So before I dive into all the projects the PUD is currently working on, I'll take a few minutes to talk about how we're responding to the pandemic. So like many of our other local government agencies in Mason County, the PUD responded to the emergency prior to the governor's orders. We closed our lobbies, suspended disconnections, and waived late fees. And then we began working to get customers assistance right away. We quickly learned that our cash paying customers needed more options and better communications. The good news was that we had already installed a payment kiosk at our downtown Shelton office, which helped with some of those cash customers. And then we added an additional kiosk at our Belfair warehouse. We stepped up our customer service outreach with communication, including translating some of those key messages and our entire website into Spanish. We wanted to make sure that our customers knew exactly how they could do business with us. Oops. And as essential workers, we couldn't just shut down. So instead, we worked to get as many of our employees to begin working remotely as possible. And this was based on whether their work would allow. Our operations and our field employees are still reporting to the operations center for assignments, but they're wearing masks, social distancing, and not sharing vehicles. This is a fun picture here that we held a photo contest as a team building exercise to show us your work from home pictures. And as you can see, there's lots of pet helpers. And those of you that are working from home, I'm sure can relate. The next thing we did, and we're pretty proud of this, was to deploy some drive-in Wi-Fi hotspots. So the state broadband office and our local school districts asked us to be part of solving this connectivity problem for distance learning in the spring when the schools shut down. So we deployed 29 of these hotspots throughout Mason County, and the locations can be found on our website on an interactive map at pud3.org/Wi-Fi. This adorable picture here on the left is Macy Masteller. That's PUD1 manager Kristen Masteller's daughter. She attends the Merriam Knight School District, and this is her first day of school at a PUD3 hotspot. This wouldn't be possible without our community partners who've provided sites for us to put these Wi-Fi hotspots at, and so we want to be sure to thank them for that. A couple of quick stats. Since May, when these were deployed, we've had 8,000 unique users and 4.77 terabytes of data has gone through there. The peak traffic times are typically between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. and the average connection time is only like 6 minutes. One thing COVID hasn't done is slowed down our work. We are having one of the busiest years ever at PUD3. So these numbers represent new service applications. These are new connections to our system, not remodels or added load. That number would be much higher. These are all new connections. And as you can see, we had a dip in April. But other than that, we have been working like crazy and our engineers have been busy, busy, busy. So we are trying not to be a bottleneck to this exciting growth in Mason County. On maybe a less positive note, I thought I would mention where our customers are and how they're being impacted by this pandemic. So the way the PUD typically looks at past due accounts is in these 30, 60, 90-day past due categories. And you can see we are comparing here April of 2020 when the pandemic was just beginning and September of 2020 where we are now. The 30-day category can be somewhat deceiving as we see the dollar amounts actually went down, but the number of past dues went up. And the explanation for that is in April, customers were coming off of their high winter bills and, September's reflecting our low summer bills. So, and we don't always look at this 30-day category really closely for an indicator of where customers are. We typically have slow paying customers anyways. It's not unusual. It could be just that their paydays don't line up with their bill dates. But it's probably a bigger number to look at in these 60 and 90-day categories. So I'll just point to 90 days showing that in April, we had 75 customers who were 90 days or further behind, and that was just under $12,000. And today we're over 800 customers over 90 days behind, and we're pushing 300,000 here. Our customer service department's been really great though at being proactive and trying to connect customers with any available assistance. So since the emergency started, we've been able to apply $186,000 to delinquent customer accounts. Most of this is coming through the PUD's Project Share program, which comes from customer donations, and the LIHEAP program, which is managed through Community Action Council. But our community has really stepped up, our local nonprofits, and everybody has really come together to try to help these customers in need. And the PUD is working with the county. We're applying for some CARES funding through the county and hoping that there's a possibility for more help for these customers going into winter. So what else is the PUD up to? Well, believe it or not, we have been extremely busy with other projects, even in the midst of COVID. We adopted our next 5-year strategic plan in 2020 and modified our mission statement slightly. And we had to get creative with our employees, all working remotely when we rolled this out. So we utilized our all-employee virtual picnic to deliver these strategic plan booklets, as you see on the screen, and these little desktoppers, I guess, just to get employees connected with the strategic plan and make it a little bit of fun. The new mission statement seen here below our old mission statement is very similar. Besides still wanting to provide safe, reliable, economical service 24/7, we also wanted to add some words that we feel really reflect who we are and who we want to be, and that is connecting community and sustainable. So you'll see connecting our community with safe, reliable, economical services and sustainable services 24/7. There we go. So as I mentioned before, we have had a busy 2020 for new service applications. You can see in this orange bar chart, just our year to date through August has surpassed our 2019 full year number. But this 5-year history tells a bigger story of growth in Mason County and on our system, with a 230% increase in applications in these 5 years. So that's really ties into my next slide, which is our need for new substations. So before 2020, the PUD had 11 substations throughout the county, and our newest substation, the Totten substation, number 12, was just completed and energized in June of this year. It's located out Lynch Road, just past Taylor Shellfish, and it was constructed to relieve pressure on our Skookum substation, which was at its maximum capacity. And some of our larger load customers in the area have applied for additional load. We have the immediate need for about 3 more substations and a couple of switching stations to accommodate the growth that is on our system. So with those substations costing at about $3 million each and taking about a year to build, we are going to be busy for a few years to come. I'm going to skip through these next couple slides just for the sake of time to get to what most people want to talk about, which is our rural broadband. So that is something that has really come to light in this pandemic, just the lack of connectivity throughout Mason County, the state, and our nation, actually, in the rural areas. So you might be asking, why is PUD 3 in the fiber business? Our main reason is it supports the reliability and the safety of our electrical distribution system. We started building our fiber system in the year 2000 when the copper phone lines in our substations were failing, and it was going to be extremely expensive to work with the phone companies to have those wires replaced. Plus, there was a growing concern about the reliability of those copper phone lines inside substations. So having our own fiber optic network connecting our equipment in the field and our remote offices is more secure and robust than anything we could find on the market today. Additionally, having this system also saves our electric ratepayers about $4.3 million each year from us having to go out and buy those similar services. The second benefit is wherever our network exists, we're able to offer excess capacity to our end users for high-speed internet. And these go through our retail service providers. Even though we've been able to expand our network tremendously through a combination of our grid modernization projects and also procuring several grants over the last few years, it just simply isn't enough. Our customers are clamoring for connectivity, and we just simply can't build it fast enough. And we can't get our hands on money fast enough. So we have been successful at securing 3 grants over the last couple years, and that's going to allow us to connect about 1,500 homes in the next 3 to 5 years. We just built 832 of those connections since March. And we've submitted for another grant application through the state's Public Works Board. I think last week we submitted our application. And if we're successful with that, it'll help to build to another 680 homes. So with that, I just wanted to thank you for showing an interest in what the PUD's been up to. And again, just say that we're so lucky that our PUD has so much history and experience to draw from. I wanted to let you know that there's a lot more history to PUD 3. And for our 80th anniversary, we documented this history in a book that's now available digitally on our website at pud3.org/book, and there's lots of good tidbits of information in there, such as what happened to PUD 2 and the mystery behind the PUD's first manager, Mr. E.C. Lord, who vanished without a trace. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions if time permits.
Hi, Lynn. We did have a few questions come through, so I'll get started on those. One of the questions we had is, how many people are participating in Project Share as someone who is contributing to the program?
Oh, I don't think I have those numbers at hand, but I can certainly get those to you to share.
And regarding the new service that you talked about, are those primarily single residence homes or other structures?
They're primarily residential.
And one of the questions here is, how many in Mason County use wood stoves as a primary source of heat in the winter? Which may be more of a conservation question for you.
Right. You know, the PUD doesn't have that specific data. I know when customers are going to Community Action Council for help, that is one of the things that they can get help with if they use wood heat. But other than looking at consumption, I'm not sure that PUD would have that data.
And a question here, how are the new, not so new, the new meter readers working out?
Yeah, so our grid modernization automated meters, well, I'll tell you, for somebody who's just recently taken over outage communications, they have been amazing. So they notify us immediately if we're without service. And in fact, just maybe a half an hour before I hopped online with this call, we had an outage of about 300 customers up in the Belfair area. We could see exactly where those meters were out. Our linemen were able to look at their iPads and systematically go through and close in areas of that outage to reduce it to 20 in a very short period of time before they were able to locate the actual cause of the outage. So in addition to just being an efficiency thing of reading the meters and giving our customers more data, they've really paid off in outage management.
Fantastic. And one question we get often at the chamber that I'll chime in is, how should people find out if their power goes out, what's going on, when they can expect a return of service?
Sure. So we have an outage map on our website, and we also update Facebook, Twitter. So if you follow us on those social media sites, our website, if it's a large outage over 100 customers, our website will have information. You can still call in the old-fashioned way, but the most effective way is through our Smart Hub app, and that can be downloaded from your app store or accessed at my.pud3.org, and you can report an outage through there. You can follow on the outage map and see progress through there as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And again, if we have any other questions that come through, we'll be sure to get those to you following today's webinar. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Deidre.
All right. Well, thank you, Lynn, Dick, and Larry. Great information today. Really enjoyed hearing about the, especially the new things coming up and what you're currently doing. And we thank you for being with us today. And for all of you that are attending today, you will receive a follow-up email link to view the recording of today's video and webinar. And also in that email, you'll receive a survey of today's presentation. We appreciate you all coming and providing that feedback to us, and we hope to see you next week when we hear from our local tribes as we conclude this series that we've been able to bring to you. And it's been a great collaboration between the two chambers, and it's been really informational, and we really have enjoyed putting it on. Heidi.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. If you do have any other questions, please contact us at 360-426-2021, or you can email info@masonchamber.com. And additional resources are also available at masonchamber.com/recovery. We know this year has been a challenge, and we are eager to continue to hear from local leadership how they're responding and planning for the future. On behalf of the North Mason Chamber, Shelton-Mason County Chamber, and Economic Development Council of Mason County, as well as our presenters, thank you for joining us today. We hope you continue to tune in and learn more about the state of our community with our local tribes. Have a great rest of your day.